Study hard, for the well is deep, and our brains are shallow. To live among such excellent helps as our libraries afford, to have so many silent, wise companions whenever we please, nothing can be rightly known if God be not known. Nor is any study well managed, nor to any great purpose if God is not studied. Welcome to the 17:6 podcast, where we help you turn the world upside down by the Lordship of Christ. I'm Trevor with an O.
I am Zach with an H.
Caleb with a C.
Nice. So we're just going to be talking about Zach this episode.
Yeah.
And what better quote than from Richard Baxter? And I think that quote does summarize the Zach that we know. Maybe not young Zach, young whippersnapper Zach, but the Zach Caleb and I know is a Zach that loves reading, but specifically reading about our God. So
I do like Richard Baxter a lot.
awesome. Nailed it.
Great.
Nailed
They're
it.
good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to take a drink.
So, is there something you wanted to start with, or you want me to get into questions?
Well-
Do you have questions?
I have a lot of questions about life in general, but about Zach, I got a few.
Okay.
Okay.
I got a few. But yeah, we're just talking, trying to figure out who this Zach guy is with an H, not with a G.
Not with a G.
It once was with a G.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
We did address that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, first question, I feel like it's really important. We need to get it out of the way. Zach, what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is gray.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I feel like it describes my personality.
Okay.
I don't know. You're pretty chipper.
Chipper, yeah, but plain.
What is your take on smiling in pictures?
I don't like pictures in general.
Does it show weakness if you smile? So you don't smile.
I would like to be thought of as a smiley person,
Okay.
but I just don't like pictures.
Okay.
I don't know why.
All right. That's fine.
Yeah.
I have multiple pictures of Zach, and he's not smiling in any of them. He has the same face. Yeah.
Oh man.
I've seen him smile. It's not that he can't smile. He does.
It's
Just
just that
when that camera comes out, and then Zach is driver's license photo Zach.
yeah, get all stressed out. Yeah.
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 Okay. So,
Where are you from?
yeah.
That's a really difficult question to answer. I moved around a lot. I moved around a lot growing up. So by the time I am 18, I have lived in 21 different houses, mostly from Texas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. I graduated from Monette, Missouri, and that's where I've stuck my landing.
Gotcha. So your parents were just picky about the houses they lived in, and just nothing seemed to fit.
Right. My dad was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And he was doing a roadside assistance business, and he would get it going in one city, then get it going in the next city, kind of like church planting, but for roadside assistance.
Nice.
And that is what led us to move around a lot.
What was your favorite place that you lived in? And if you don't say Monette, it might be awkward.
Okay, so my favorite place, I definitely have a least favorite place, and that was I'm just gonna go ahead and throw them under the bus. Sorry if you're from Owasso, Oklahoma, but that was like easily my least favorite place.
Ouch.
Yeah, I liked Texas a lot. I had some good friends in Texas, but I landed in Monette because two reasons. Well, it's one reason that had two causes. And the reason was I needed to graduate on time. And I could only graduate on time, from my knowledge, by graduating in Missouri. And I had connections in Monette.
Does that mean like lower standards in schools, or?
Well, what it was one, I was a bad student. A terrible student.
That is so crazy to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, terrible student. Put forth such little effort. Was told by teachers that I put forth such little effort. As a matter of fact, we have a teacher at our church. I won't name drop him, but you guys probably know who he is. But he was my trigonometry teacher, and I got a 69 in his class. And he said if I would have put in even a little bit of effort, he would have bumped it up to a 70. But because of the fact that I think he was righteous in doing that, but I put forth so little effort. So that's the first reason that I had to move back to Monette and, land my graduation there. Second one was I started off high school in Missouri, And when I went to Oklahoma, I ended up taking Oklahoma classes. You know, they have different histories and, you know, government classes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Oklahoma's a little backwards.
Yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, so because of the credits that I had, if I would just, and I didn't find this out until my senior year. I was actually like into my senior year at Claremore, Oklahoma, and I realized there's no way I can graduate on time. They also had a different scheduling system,
Okay.
but if I just moved to Monette, I could graduate on time.
And so here you are. You just stayed. All right. So you moved around a lot. You're in Monette. What was the best thing that came out of moving back to Monette and going to high school there?
Ooh, going to high school there.
When you graduated.
I graduated.
Right. Yeah.
That's really the only significance of the best part of Monette is just, you know, this is where
I was really trying to set you up. Like, met my wife.
He threw you a softball.
that wasn't at high school.
Oh, well.
That was I moved to Monette and I found my community here, but I met my wife at church. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
because she graduated before I did.
Whoa. Your wife's older
So your
than you?
wife's older?
My wife is older than I am.
Okay.
How does that feel? How does she feel about it? Does she like it being brought up a lot?
Oh, she's gonna hate this episode. As a matter of fact, at this point in the episode, she listens to the episodes, but she's probably pausing it right about now.
Okay.
And she's not gonna finish it.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. But
So she likes that subject, like her being older than you. That's what I'm hearing.
as much as I would like to be a troll of a husband and tell all of our listeners to go ask her about this and have this conversation with her, I will have mercy on her and ask listeners not to bring it up too much.
Okay. Too much. All right, cool.
So you addressed that you were a terrible student. Mm-hmm. I don't view you as a terrible student of anything you do now. Where was that shift? How did that come about?
I am terrible at anything I don't care about.
Oh,
Like I'm a very, very focused and tunnel visioned individual. There is no natural inclination for me to be balanced in any aspect of life. I have the ability to get narrowly focused on one thing and just, you know, pour myself into it. And school was never that thing.
so you're not a big sports guy.
No.
Okay. I knew that.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot in the last, you know, decade. Being married has caused me to focus on a lot of different things. So I've had to learn to be more balanced, but that is 100% not my inclination. And because I did not see the value of school, because there were people saying that you have to graduate, I put in just enough effort to graduate and not an ounce more.
Okay.
Yeah. I was busy spending my time doing two things primarily. The first one, and this is really important to how I come to know Jesus, but the first one is music. So I pick up guitar when I turned 14 and I just pour myself into learning how to play guitar. I'm talking like 6 hours a day practicing, sometimes more on weekends, that kind of thing. And the second thing I was spending my time doing instead of schoolwork was, and all my nerds out there are going to love this, RuneScape. I put in a lot of time into playing the video game RuneScape.
What level?
I had several 99s. I can't remember my combat level.
Okay. Well, look at that.
I'm
been a long time.
apparently
We got a legend here. What was your name? Escape.
On RuneScape, my name is I am Mr. Coolio.
Okay. Well, welcome. I am Mr. Coolio. For all you RuneScape fans out there, you
that
now
what-
know who he is. So you're welcome.
Yep.
Is that with 3 O's?
Yes. There'll be 3 O's there. Yeah. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Because you actually played. No, I'm just messing with you.
I'm the only one at this table that has no idea what you guys are talking about.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what RuneScape is.
Yeah. Okay.
Minesweeper?
No.
No.
World of Warcraft for people who don't want to pay money.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Right on. All right. So guitar played a lot into how the Lord saved you.
Yes.
So tell us that journey.
Okay.
About the Lord saving you.
Sure. Okay, so let's define context. I've always lived in the Bible Belt.
Okay.
All right. My extended family is a mixture of people who love and follow Jesus and people who respect Jesus, but aren't, fully there yet. Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of my context. And I grew up respecting Jesus. Okay. So that's my mindset. I was definitely not on board with like where I'm at now. I remember two conversations specifically that I was having with friends where I was trying to convince them of the opposite of the trustworthiness of Scripture. I remember having a in-depth conversation trying to convince my friend, like, you're taking this too seriously. How do you know that? I mean, this is just a copy of a translation of a copy of a translation. Again, I was a TikTok theologian, but I was trying to explain to him that you can't really trust the Scripture. Your views on things are off because of that. This is antiquated, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. I thought Jesus was a wise person, but we don't know exactly what he said. That's my context. And I was not like a full blown, like liberal, in my worldview, but I was hardcore libertarian.
Okay.
Hardcore. You should never, ever tell someone how, you shouldn't even suggest to them how to live. And so I'm coming from the perspective of, I was, pro, I don't know if I'm going to get us in trouble on YouTube, but I was pro gay marriage and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Because I just, respected Jesus, but wasn't, actually digging into the word following him. Mm-hmm. Okay. And part of the reason for that was just because of this, when I did go to church, because I did go to church. It wasn't like I was unaware of it and that kind of thing. I did go to church, not frequently, but familiar enough. And when Jesus was presented to me, it was the soft-handed, limp-wristed, soft Jesus. And, I've heard it called Buddy Jesus. Mm-hmm. He was more like my grandma than he was a king. And quite frankly, that just did not appeal to me. I mean, what 17-year-old boy is like, this is Grandma Jesus. I can't wait to, dedicate my life to this. Like, it just wasn't fascinating to me. And so again, I was really into music. And as a guitarist, I realized that most of the stuff you hear on the radio, you could learn how to play really easily. It was boring to me. And I got to where I was into metal because the guitar work on that was more challenging to me, and I was able to develop my skills by playing that stuff instead. So I got to where I was listening to metal. And this is like, again, this is back when I'm 14, but as I am 17, this is where my conversion process comes in. I'm listening to Christian metal bands, not because they're Christian, but because they're metal. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to bands such as Impending Doom, For Today, those kinds of bands, War of Ages.
So no DC Talk.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm a couple of years as a Christian before I ever hear of them.
Okay. All right.
So you're saying that there's Christian music out there, Christian bands out there that make your ears bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There are.
And that's good, like really good, technically good.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, technically good.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When they presented Jesus, they did not present Grandma Jesus. They presented King Jesus. And it was a way that a lot of people, they get fearful of like the fundamentalist churches and that kind of thing because of how harsh they can be. And quite honestly, they would get on stage, say, get saved or go to hell, then play music. And they were, I can particularly think of some lines from like lyrics and that kind of thing that were just really hard pressing. And their message was King Jesus is ultimately powerful. Everyone's going to have to answer to him. And he will not permit you to be halfway loyal to him. You have to be willing to die for him. And if you are not fully in, and if you're not willing to die for him, then you're better off going into the world and enjoying all the sin you can because you're going to end up in hell. And as a 17-year-old boy, I was like, so this king is telling me to come die for him, and it's going to be really, really hard, and I won't be seeing any reward until afterlife. I'm in. Like, I'm okay with this Jesus. This is a lot better than Grandma Jesus. So as a 17-year-old boy, I found that cause to devote my life to and to potentially die for. And that was what I needed as a 17-year-old. My conversion process, though, was not like an overnight thing. I didn't go to the altar and pray the prayer and do the whole thing. It's really hard to define how long it took, but we talk about being born again. And before you're born again, there's 9 months of development. And I can pinpoint that 6 months of, I don't know when the actual new birth happened, but there was about a 6-month period where I was listening to music. They would say all these, drop these lines that really challenged me and challenged my thinking. And that was what the conversion process was like for me, probably about 6 months.
Nice. So did you ever write a letter to these bands, thanking them?
You know what? I never did. Shame on me. But yeah, no, I never.
There's still time. There's still time.
That is true.
For a few of them, there's still time.
Yeah.
Maybe not for all of them.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if Maddie Montgomery would ever get my letter, but
Yeah, well, cool. Okay. So 17, you said now you're Christian.
yeah.
Let's maybe, how did you meet your wife? You said at church.
Okay. So yeah, I became converted to Christ in Claremore, Oklahoma. So this is back the beginning of my senior year. And I have not moved to Monette yet. And I never start going to church.
Okay.
I converted actually before my senior year. It's during this, I know I can't quite pinpoint it, but definitely going into my senior year, thinking a lot about the Bible and reading the Bible and eating it up and that kind of thing. And I go the first 6 months of the first semester of my senior year as a follower of Jesus, not going to church.
Classic.
Yeah. So I'm going home, I'm reading my Bible, I'm looking up articles online, I'm digging in, I'm doing the, praying, do the whole thing. And I'm getting excited for the Lord. I'm just eating it up. But I don't go to church for the first 6 months. And that's just because I have no intention on planting roots in Claremore, Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
Just not doing it. So I end up moving to Monette, and I know that once I get here, I had a past history because I've been into music. I had a past history with this youth pastor. Shout out to Mark Holland, awesome dude. Who he was into music a lot, and he wasn't a metalhead by any stretch of the imagination, but he tolerated it. He understood that there's Christian metal bands and that kind of thing. But I knew that he was really into music. I'm really into music. He's into Jesus. I'm into Jesus. So I started going to his youth group.
Did you guys just become best friends?
We developed a really good relationship, and it did not take us very long because he's full in, we'll make whatever sacrifice we need to do for the kingdom. He's that guy. And so I found that mentor in him.
Okay.
And there was this youth leader. What by youth leader I mean, she was the young adult
Scandal.
Yeah, young adult
Just happened
leading.
Oh my goodness, this is a common theme through 2/3 of our hosts.
I'm not the only one with a scandal.
Right.
No,
this is it. So our personalities are very, very different. I was a troublemaker. Again, I was a problem in school, and that continued in a youth group where pretty much anytime there was a rule, I was like, how can I, get really close to violating it or just accidentally violate it? And we have several stories, and she is God bless her, but she's a goody two shoes. Okay. So she's a rule follower. And I don't know how many times she had to get on to me for, I was doing this, and that kind of thing.
Wow.
But yeah, eventually.
This might be worse than yours, Caleb. Because Brittany taught Zach.
Yeah.
Right. So eventually I graduate, and so no longer can the young adult leaders boss me around.
Okay.
And we start developing a relationship. After that, it was a long time. Isn't it took us a year or so to transition, I guess, from her not liking me pushing every boundary that was possible. And then we realized we got along really, really well.
Nice. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I really like that story about how you met your wife. Boy,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm learning.
She called me so
much
disrespectful.
She called you what?
So disrespectful.
So disrespectful.
Yeah.
So you met your wife. How long did you date?
We did not date very long.
Okay.
So we were friends. My time frame may be really bad. I'm going to say that we went from that her as the small or the young adult leader to us being romantically interested. That probably took, I don't know, a year and a half, something like that.
Did you wear her down?
That's what it was. That's what it was. But then we date for 3 months, I think. Then we're engaged a pretty short amount of time, 3 months,
It's
maybe.
okay. It's okay if you get the timeline wrong. No one's going to fact
Something
check
like-
you.
okay,
No, yeah.
something
Well,
like
we
that.
don't know. We don't know.
Brittany shut it off by this point already.
That's a good point. I'm going to say
So-
everything else confidently because she's not fact checking this
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
exactly.
Okay, so yeah, we're dating 3 months, we're engaged 3 months, and then we're married.
Okay.
Okay, so
Longer, way longer than 3 months.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
we're married. It'll be 12 years in June.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Okay, I don't know what the next question is. So
That was good.
Okay.
That was good. Okay. So now
right.
we know. Now we know that you are married. You have a wife. She taught you at church. She was your teacher.
she
was
tried to
your
keep
teacher.
me out of trouble at
Yeah.
church.
Yeah.
So kids? Do you have kids?
Yeah. Well, let me rewind just a little bit. Okay. Kind of go back into the.
This is good. I'm glad he rewound because I thought of another question I had to
Okay.
ask.
So I came into the church again, problem maker, and this was not helped one bit by the fact that I listened to metal music because the lyrics and even Christian metal is much more harsh than the Grandma Jesus stuff that we sing at church. Okay.
Yeah.
So one band in particular, this is going to actually like significantly shape my thinking, this line, but it's a band called As Hell Retreats. Okay. And they
Solid.
yeah, they have this line that says,
Based.
yeah, this line is American Christianity is a disease. Okay. American Christianity is a disease. And I'm being discipled by bands who are saying things like this. So as I enter the church, again, I've been discipled for 6 months at this point by metal bands who are saying lines like this. I come into the church and I have no notion of the idea that these guys are doing anything remotely correct. I come in with the expectation that these guys are missing the mark all over the place. And again, I've been 6 months by myself reading scripture. So I come in and I know that they're doing things wrong. And I come in, I'm like, I know the book of Acts, and this is not the book of Acts. Like, this is pitifully, it's not powerful. It's, it's not biblical.
Right.
So that's going to shape a lot of my troublemaking
Okay.
problems.
Side note: we should do an episode on church music.
Oh, that would be fun.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Just side note. Okay. You have more questions, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah. So, is this all natural or
Oh, yeah. So,
we should discuss your hair?
yeah. As a young man,
We need a picture of young Zach.
We do.
I had long hair.
I've
as a young
seen
man.
one.
Me too.
It was
It's glorious.
Something else. Yeah.
Glorious locks.
And it's because I knew that I was going bald. They say like the hairline comes through the mother's side of the family or something like that. It doesn't matter. Like every man on both sides of my family is bald and is bald at a young age. So I'm like, I don't know, 12 years old and I know it's coming. So I am mentally prepared to go bald. So I go bald. Well, I own it early is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I did not spend a long time like with the thinning hair and trying to make it work. Like I just looked in the mirror one day. I'm like, my hair's thinning. I guess I'm going to shave it. And I'm like 27 years old.
Yeah.
That's it. And I don't regret it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you use a electric razor, straight razor?
Yeah. I just use a razor and just,
Yeah. Nice.
I kind of want to fast forward because I'm looking at the time.
Yeah.
So how did you? I don't know what set you on fire for the Lord. So post metal bands, the Zach that we know today, the Zach that Caleb and I know, is a Zach that loves reading theological books, not 75-page theological books, but 500-page books, and then writing reviews on those books, writing a review over each chapter, not to show anyone, but just to have docs, your Google Docs on it.
Writes the Torah.
Yeah. So what was, maybe it's a lot of things, but if you can summarize that, what's the catalyst?
okay. That's a really difficult question because I don't have a good answer for it.
It's okay.
At least part of it is my dad in particular, my extended family at large. If you go to our family gatherings, we are having deep discussions. Okay. So you're not going to go in there. We're going to talk about the weather for like 10 seconds. And then I'm going to sit down next to one of my uncles and he's going to ask me, hey, so what do you think about, X, Y, or Z? And it's going to be a deep conversation. So I've grown up with having to think deeply on things. I just didn't grow up in a surface level conversation family.
Okay.
Okay. My dad is a reader, and when I say a reader, I'm talking like he's reading books on like quantum physics and that kind of thing. So it's definitely, I just kind of grew up with that being a normal thing that you're interested in. Then you go read academic work on stuff. So it just, my mind naturally went that direction. As a young Christian, I'd be reading the Bible. And again, one of the things that I would grow frustrated with was the surface level conversation taking place in the church. And whenever I did have a deeper question, I didn't have anyone to go to and have these. And it was before I ever spent a lot of time on YouTube, and I didn't know how to do research on like going to find some person lecturing on a certain topic and that kind of thing. So I just found myself kind of frustrated as a newbie Christian until I stumbled across this world of theology.
Yeah. I mean, would YouTube even existed when you were in high school at that point? Even if it did, there probably wasn't very many videos on there. So
Yeah. I remember the specific day that I kind of stumbled across like, hey, there's this website that has like people who, speak at the level that I'm looking for.
yeah,
How old is YouTube?
I don't know. Younger than I am.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's younger.
That's all I know.
Yeah,
and how long did it exist before it became what we have today? I don't know.
that's true. Kirsten showed me the old icon of YouTube that was on Apple,
Yeah.
and it's like a TV or something. It doesn't look like what it
It's frozen
does today.
I can't see what you're typing. I'm sorry. Amos is trying to tell us. Speaking to the microphone. Move your camera to you.
2005.
2005.
Okay.
2005. There
So
we go.
barely. There definitely was not many videos on that platform.
Right. Yeah. So when I'm getting into the deeper things of theology is probably 2011,
Okay.
something like that.
All right. Right on. So what was your reformed pill moment?
So for listeners, you're going to unpack that. For our listeners, will you define exactly what you're asking me?
Yeah. So there are, how would I say this? So there's a group of, there's a circle of pastors on YouTube or popular that subscribe to something called Reformed theology. And I think as someone who follows Reformed theology, we all have those moments of like, we take the Reformed drug, if you will, and just kind of go down this rabbit hole. So Reformed theology is I'm just going to say it's, and I'm specifically talking about Reformed in salvation or soteriology. So God is sovereign over whom he chooses. Predestination video, go check that one out. That's a good pre-Reformed, conversation. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This goes back to, in large part, me listening to metal bands and desiring that harsher side of it.
Okay.
Because they are already coming at from the standpoint of God is holy. The whole idea of we are totally depraved, that we are incomprehensibly wicked. I had full blown accepted that before I had any kind of theological terminology for it. I knew that the gap between me, a worm, a wicked sinner, and the holy, righteous God was so unfathomable that he could do anything and leave me in the dust, send me to hell, anything, and it would be absolutely fair. Every angel in heaven would rejoice in the fact that he got rid of a wicked sinner. Yeah. So I just kind of came in it with that mindset just because I knew my own sin and knew something of the holiness of God. So as I'm reading scripture and I'm reading about a lot of stuff that And I'm coming from, like, I'm going to a Wesleyan church. Okay. It's a Methodist church.
Okay.
So they're going to have some differences in perspective. And as I'm reading the Bible and finding God doing these things that, grandma Jesus is not supposed to do, stuff like the really problematic stuff. So he sends a lying spirit into the prophets of Ahab. I remember specifically, that's, I believe, in the end of First Kings. I could be wrong on that, but I remember specifically going and asking people about that. And I was like, hey, this seems like a weird thing for God to do. And why would he do this? And the answer that I received was that, well, you have to remember that God is a good God and the devil is a bad devil, and they never change places, which doesn't handle the First Kings passage at all. All it does is say, don't think about this, move on.
Yeah.
And that was mostly the response I got, was just don't think about this, move on. Anyways, and Romans 9, the whole, God chooses some for salvation, and he created Pharaoh for the day of destruction.
Okay.
So as I'm asking people about that, I'm just not getting satisfying answers. And I happen to be on YouTube, and I see this YouTube video on predestination. Okay. This is the beginning of a huge,
The heavens open. Light shines
huge
down.
life change for me.
Okay.
So what I do, because I had already bought into predestination.
Okay.
But again, American Christianity is a disease. So I'm thinking I'm the only person in the American church who actually believes the Bible. I'm a 19-year-old arrogant guy. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but the point is I knew I was kind of like this oddball out and, by myself, but I really, really trusted the scriptures, and I really, really wanted to follow Jesus faithfully. So I find this video and find out that I'm not alone. There are other guys who are reading the Bible at the, when I say the level that I do, I mean, when they find passages that contradict their thinking on things, they don't just move past it and forget about it. Like, they actually stick on it and then create a theology around, okay, so God, sometimes he will send a lying spirit into the prophets of wicked kings. And that's what it says. Let's go with that. And he will choose to save some people, and some people are created for destruction. Okay, let's just create a theology around that.
Yeah.
So that was specifically, I'll just go ahead and, I know the guy is controversial, but
Well, he's controversial now. Back then when you were watching him, he was still controversial, but for different reasons.
yeah. But it was Mark Driscoll. Mark Driscoll was my gateway drug. Then also the drill sergeant tone
Yeah, for sure.
drew me as well. But from there, of course, you go to John Piper and Sam Storms got in there. R.C. Sproul, The Holiness of God. That was a huge, monumental mind shift for me. It was awesome.
So we didn't do this for our, videos, but what we should do, if Amos is up for it, you should make a list of just 3 books that you would recommend for people to read. I mean, they can be in the show notes, or if you have them off the top of your head right now.
Okay. If I had more time to think about it,
that's why I
it
didn't.
might not be this list, but I'm going to go and name off 3 books.
Okay. Well, you've heard it here first, folks. Wow, I did not get that out. You've heard it here first, folks. Here's the 3 books that you should read
Okay.
by Zach.
And we're not including the Bible. We are assuming that you are spending more time reading the Bible.
Yeah.
But aside from the Bible, I would say The Holiness of God by R.C. Sproul. Then I would say Desiring God by John Piper. And then, this is going to throw you guys off, but this was a hugely influential book on my thinking.
Are we still going to be friends after this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Heaven by Randy Alcorn.
Okay.
That excited my desire for the afterlife, and it shifted how I prioritize my life, because he got me thinking about eternity more than any other book that I read.
Okay.
He got me excited for it. It shifted me away from, okay, we'll have to, heaven's better than hell for sure, but I'm not really looking forward to floating in the clouds, playing a harp and singing.
Yeah.
And that's not how he presented heaven the way that scripture presents heaven. And that was a lot more enticing for me. So those are my 3 books.
Awesome.
So, do you have something to add to that?
I'm good.
Okay.
It's all you.
So I'm sure most people watching this know Zach. I'm sure they do.
Maybe.
Something that I'm always have my guard up with you is I never know when you're going to hit me with a random question.
I know exactly when he's going to. As you are beginning to leave his house,
Yes.
he'll ask a deep question. Some people just keep walking.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I can't stay here for another 45 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So what drives Zach to want to do that? I'm sure you do it to guys at work, right? Or is
Yeah.
it just me and Trevor when we're leaving?
It's a lot of
Your
people.
house.
So the question is, why do I ask people difficult,
Probing.
probing questions?
Well, just what's
The motivation.
I'm sure what's the motivation? Because I'm sure you haven't always done that. Like 19-year-old Zach. Did you do it back then?
Why do
17?
you use Ernie Ball Super Slinkies?
Okay, so 19-year-old Zach was also asking people really direct, engaging questions.
Okay.
It was a much sloppier version of it. And now I know that I'm throwing people off a little bit, but I know that I'm throwing people off a little bit. Okay, that's the
you enjoy
difference. So I know that you were trying to walk out the door, and I know this is clearly not the time to ask you your opinion on limited atonement.
Our kids are dying. Like they are meltdown. It's past the witching hour.
Yeah.
They're still not in bed. And here you go.
Yeah. So one, I just enjoy those questions in the first place. And I also enjoy being a troll sometimes. That's part of it. And at least part of it is the fact that I want people to ask me these questions.
Oh.
So I'm like, treat others the way that you want to be treated. I want people to ask me limited atonement as I'm trying to walk out the door.
Yeah.
So
Laura, we're going to note this.
For sure. Should I take that as when I'm walking out the door and Zach says, "Hey, what are your thoughts on limited atonement?" Should I then say, "I don't know, Zach. What are your thoughts on limited atonement?"
but that's evasion. I want you to give me your
okay.
thoughts, and then I'll tell you my thoughts.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's cool. I like.
Yeah. So
a good answer.
is there anything else? If not, we can
Yeah.
wrap up this episode. Do you
Yeah.
have-
One more
Okay.
thing. Rapid fire. What's your favorite food?
That's really hard. Steak. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Favorite beard oil.
Oh, beard oil.
I forgot the brand, what it's called.
Too slow. Go for it.
Bourbon vanilla. That was
Okay.
the scent.
Bourbon vanilla. Okay. No, that's all I got.
Oh, dang it. That was not a very good rapid
That
fire.
wasn't a very good rapid fire.
Middle
was
name.
it?
Tyler.
Your
After
your middle name's Tyler?
yeah,
Shoe
after
size.
Aerosmith lead
Same
singer
piece.
Steven Tyler. Really?
Yeah. My middle name's Tyler.
Nice, bro.
Nice. How did we not know this?
How? That's crazy, dude. Yeah. But yeah, I'm named after Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. My mom wanted to name me Steven Tyler, but praise the Lord, my dad put his foot down for that and said, "You can have one." And I got Tyler.
Hobby.
Reading.
Shoe size.
10.
Too slow. Thanks for watching the 7 podcast where we help you turn the world upside down by the lordship of Christ. Hit the smash button, comment, like, share, whatever all the cool kids say.
Smash
Thanks
that
for watching.
smash button.
There it is. All right.